The Clutter family, Herbert and Bonnie, and their teenage children, Nancy and Kenyon, live prosperous and principled lives on their farm in Holcomb, a small rural town in western Kansas. They are prominent, respected members of the community in both Holcomb and their neighboring Garden City, and Herb is known to be a generous employer. Their life is disciplined but pleasant and well provided for. The book follows the Clutter family through the events of November 14th, 1959, which is often referred to as the family's last. In another part of Kansas, two men on parole from the Kansas State Penitentiary, Dick Hickok and Perry Smith, are planning a score, which includes a 12-gauge shotgun, rubber gloves, rope, and black stockings. Over the course of the day, they make their way in the direction of Garden City by car, making many stops along the way. They arrive shortly after midnight and proceed to the Clutter farm. On the morning of November 15th, a friend of Nancy's is alarmed when the Clutters fail to pick up the phone or attend church. A family friend of the Clutters goes to investigate and finds the telephone wires cut and a purse thrown on the ground. Upstairs, they find Nancy dead from a shotgun blast to the head. The authorities also find 3 more bodies. All 4 Clutters have been brutally murdered. The children and Bonnie with a shotgun, and Herb with a knife to the throat. The police find very little evidence at the crime scene, only 2 sets of boot prints and materials used to bind the victims. The residents of Garden City and Holcomb are shocked and deeply troubled by the murders and may speculate that the killer or killers may be among them. An investigation is launched led by Alvin Dewey. Perry and Dick are already far away in Kansas City reading about the crime in the newspaper and wondering if it will be traced back to them. While the detectives begin their search for physical evidence and witnesses, the fugitives head for Mexico, pausing only long enough to earn some quick cash by dropping bad checks in Kansas City. During their stay in Mexico, you begin to see Perry has some issues of his own due to a childhood of abuse and neglect. Perry idolizes Dick because of his charismatic personality and strong confidence. Dick uses this to his advantage in convincing Perry to commit the murders. After running out of money, the pair decides to head back to the States. After weeks of the investigation heading nowhere, the investigative team receives its first lead in the form of Floyd Wells, a former employee of Herb Clutter's who celled with Dick at the Kansas State Penitentiary. And he told Dick that the Clutters kept a locked safe full of cash in their home. The detectives follow up on Wells' testimony and discover that both Dick and Perry were traveling on the night of the killings. Meanwhile, the fugitives have returned to the United States and continue to roam the countryside, hitchhiking. Eventually, the police trace a stolen car to them, and they are discovered in Las Vegas just before New Year's, 6 weeks after the murders. The detectives slowly reveal that the 2 men are wanted for quadruple homicide, first pretending the hot checks were the reason for the arrest. Dick is caught in a web of lies, and the authorities succeed in forcing a confession out of him, but he blames Perry for all 4 murders. Agent Dewey convinces Perry that Dick has confessed to the crime, and Perry provides a lengthy account of how the murders happened. According to Perry, their initial goal was to rob the Clutters, having heard from Floyd Wells that Herb Clutter kept $10,000 in a safe inside the house. When they arrived and found no safe or anything else of significant value, Perry had wanted to abandon the scene, but Nick urged him to stay and follow through. No witnesses. Trying to make Dick admit that he couldn't go through with the killings, Perry himself took up a knife, slitting Mr. Clutter's throat. The shootings all happened in a blind frenzy on the part of the killers, after which they fled the scene. Men are put on trial in Garden City. In the course of this trial, the prisoners undergo a psychiatric evaluation, during which it is concluded that both show signs of mental illness and emotional dysfunction. Perry almost certainly suffers from schizophrenia, and Dick claims he has had brain damage incurred in a car accident as a young man. For Perry, the Clutters and their immaculate lifestyle symbolized everything the world had denied him, and their murders, beginning with Herb Clutter, was an automatic response. The court in Garden City upholds the M. Naughton rule, which disregards mental illness in determining whether criminals are responsible for their actions. Because of this, Dick and Perry are found guilty of 4 counts of murder in the first degree and sentenced to death by hanging. In spite of numerous appeals as well as allegations of mistrial from Dick, they are hung on April 14, 1965, before a crowd of 20 witnesses, after spending 5 years on death row.